Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, commanders and commandettes, I've got for you today a nearly hour-long game that we are going to enjoy watching here on Supremismus that was sent on over to the Replays channel. Every once in a while I have to cast one of these games because I gotta know what makes a game of Beyond Our Reason go over the or near the hour limit mark. This game's just shy of an hour. How on earth did we get there? How did we get that far from a win condition, and how do we manage to bring it back after the fact when we've strayed so far from said win condition? So today we're going to be diving into this game head first, so get a drink, get a snack, and hang out with me as we enjoy this wonderful match on everybody's favorite hated map. Your favorite, least favorite map. It sort of is in both extremes, right? It's on both ends of the spectrum as the most beloved and most hated map, I feel like, in the entire pool. You either love it or you either hate it. Now, before we dive right in here, just 1 second to announce, well, not announce, but re-engage with you all about the fact that we are still running our monthly promotion here. We do have the Bar Pro League, which is linked down below. You can go over to the Patreon, where if you'd like to purchase a membership, your donation does go directly towards the prize pools and towards bringing out the best and barist in all of the bar community to compete in that tournament for the grand prize pool. Very excited for that partnership, and I'm looking forward to running more in the future because the tournaments for Beyond a Reason have been stellar as far as I can tell. Totally unbiased commentator who enjoys the privilege of getting to cast those tournaments often as well. But of course, I am thrilled whenever I get the chance to support the community in any way that I can, any tournaments like that. The other announcement is, of course, that over on the Brightworks Discord, which again, linked down below in the description section, we are running an ad campaign to submit your very best clips from the Brightworks. It can be from any video at any point in the entire history of the Brightworks. I have literally the very first video that I think I've ever done on the Brightworks still up and alive on this YouTube channel, if you'd care to go dig that up. Any video is valid. Embarrass me as best as you can, and feel free to submit your clips over to the replay clip submission channel on the Discord if you'd like to participate. A couple of folks have already submitted some clips, so it's going to be some stiff competition, but it'll all be compiled into a best of and brightest Brightworks compilation where we'll have all of your favorite clips from the channel in one wonderful, probably, I mean, almost guaranteed to be embarrassing video that I'm honestly looking forward to a whole bunch. I love you guys, and I love the community that we've got here, not only in Beyond Our Reason, but especially here at the Brightworks. I really am privileged to have one of the better communities on the internet, I would say, for sure. But alright, let's get into this game here and meet our commanders. We have our red team leader here, Jerkinston. Spawning on the other side of the map here is the blue commander. It's going to be none other than G-Flow, the blue Armada commander, spawning right here in the tech position. We all know it and we all love it. This is one of those spots on this map where you kind of just, you get to relax, right? You get to play SimCity. You can kind of play the entire game without looking up beyond sort of this POV. You kind of have to at one point because you kind of want to move over here to queue some wind turbines, maybe a metal extractor, and then you just set your camera right here and you just enjoy the next 8 minutes of this game or so, maybe 14, depending on whether you go for like T2 and then rush some T2 units out of the front line, or if you just go straight up to an APHIS and kind of start the APHIS scaling and go up to T3. It's not uncommon to see a commander in the backline on this position basically start playing the game around minute 14. So we'll check in nice and early, and then we'll come back to see exactly what the blue commander is up to, because I can guarantee you that in about 2.5 minutes right here, the blue commander is about to detonate, going to move within range over here of this construction tower. This is a very safe way of doing it, is you just move the commander. Looks like we're going to go this way and use a res bot instead. You can do this by blowing it up just at the edge of the range here of a construction tower, and it actually will be able to eat the commander without destroying the construction tower on the explosion. We're going to finish up this T2 lab and, of course, get that metal extraction, or T2 metal extraction up and running here. As for the actual action on the game, which I know you're all desperately waiting for here, we've got a good old-fashioned rocket bot brawl as Camarad07 goes up against Marco Ralsex here. 21 open skill versus 8 open skill, but I do see a silver chevron versus a 4 chevron. 3 chevron? Low chevron versus high chevron. Means this is a little more balanced than it might look like just based on the OS numbers alone. Quarter here also going for rocket bots, but going to be going up against a vehicles player, which is always a little bit sketch, right? It can work, but it takes a lot of micro and some really, really specific, precise control. It's, I mean, it's almost always a losing situation. No matter how you take these roles, you're always on the back end, so you have to be very creative about the way that you take these fights. And losing 1 or 2 rocket bots like this is just not efficient enough to make it work. That is, I mean, ultimately, the reason why bots versus vehicles is so difficult. It's because of the fact that vehicles are just better.
Self-destructed.
Across the field, 1-to-1, a tank is going to beat a mace, I guess a missile truck is going to beat a rocket bot. That doesn't really hold up, but you get the idea, right? They have more range, they have more firepower, they have more HP in general per metal. Mathematically, anyways, they're all quite a bit better. In their own roles, they, I mean, of course, they still have their weaknesses. But so far, I mean, phenomenal job here from the blue team as a whole. It looks like these two commanders are being fed a bunch of units from the backliners, which is super, super sweet. Always love when that happens. You know, we have a little bit of teamwork right here. It looks like we've gone for some title generator eco gaming. This has been a very popular play recently, going for a bunch of title generators. You can see the, you can see the orange commander also doing the same thing right here. Dusty going to, yeah, pump out a bunch of these title generators, go for some E-converters as well to boost that economy. You know, I mean, with the 2.3 metal extractor, every 3 converters you bring online is another metal extractor. So far, a lovely hold right here from the Lavender Commander, making sure to apply enough pressure to keep that laboratory down, but now it finally starts up, and we do have the Coastal Defenders, the Jellyfish firing off their little heat-seeking torpedoes, boat-seeking torpedoes. The way you make this work, by the way, if you're curious about why this engagement is so tough, it's because the way that you make this work is with res bots. You want to get anywhere from 3 to 6 res bots up on the front line here to repair. Because these missile trucks will whittle things down slowly, you can out-repair them with just a couple of res bots, and that effectively makes you immortal against the rocket bots, and so the only thing you have to deal with is these medium tanks. What you have to do against them is effectively dive in with your units on hold fire, set target fire on the medium tanks so they all fire at the same unit, and then pull them back, right? So they're not brawling with the medium tanks, you just want to dive in to fire and then pull back. Over here, though, it's just a good old-fashioned brawl, and I love this right here. We've used the walls to sort of kind of hinder the enemy. I mean, it's sort of working against the Cyan Commander who set those walls up at this point. Now the rocket bots are actually moving in and taking advantage of them. For the record, if a rocket bot stands behind a wall, it can fire over the wall. However, if an enemy rocket bot is firing at a rocket bot standing behind a wall, it will hit the wall because of the drop on the rocket as it travels. Kind of hard to see from this angle. Maybe we can get a better view like this. War changes. You can very slightly see those rockets dropping below the edge of that wall right there. But it does mean that you can gain a really important, a very practical advantage just by parking your rocket bots behind the wall. In this case, I think Camarad would do wonderfully here to just control, or rather double-click all these walls and hit Control-D. Self-destruct them all and make a whole bunch of room for your grunts to run on by. We have the units to counter this. Unfortunately, those walls are now working very heavily against the Cyan Commander. Another important thing is that walls have very low build costs, so it means that you can reclaim them super, super easily. There's actually not much of a reason to degun them. Basically, if you reclaim a wall, it'll be eaten up in a couple of seconds. Maybe we'll see it here in a second. Marco Rautsek's not really going for it here. A couple of units off the coastline, by the way. A couple of these frigates, as well as a single destroyer to harass the coastline, taking down the metal extractor, making Camarad's life a little bit painful. Don't kill the base over here, though, even though I think they might have been able to reach. I think that was really mostly a scouting issue. Purple Commander establishing their naval base. Maroon Commander, their base has been wrecked. Okay, gonna go for a gauntlet in order to hold it, or an agitator rather. A Cortex gauntlet. Hotly contested island over here, as we do have the Hot Pink Commander claiming the southern island and the Maroon Commander claiming the northern one. So that's quite nice. At the very least, the red team does have the advantage of having both of the islands, even though, for the longest time, they didn't have any presence in the midsection. Now we are into the era of T2, though. A single fat boy has hit the field, and we also have Sheldon firing away at great distance to try and lay on a little bit of hurt. But Sheldon, not exactly a big single target unit. They are kind of like a... they're more of a harassment unit, really. Meant to poke down defenses and static targets. Most of the units on the front, well, are units. They're going to move pretty nicely. Fat Boy is on the front line, though, and that's going to do wonderfully against a bunch of these lighter units. Boom goes all of those aggravators. T1 rocket bots. That's quite vulnerable are these medium tanks when they're bundled up like this, too. Oh, this is scary. Oh, no. Oh, juicy. Boom goes the Fat Boy right into the middle of all of those tanks. Every single one of those tanks brought down to just a fraction of their original HP. The second shot echoes across that battlefield as well. And my goodness, there goes, I don't know, maybe 90% of the HP there of the light pink army. Yikes. We've got a build turret coming up, and I mean, that's going to be great, obviously. Repairing all these tanks back up to full is going to be nice. But you're never really going to be able to take the fight effectively against the Fat Boy. That's, I mean, its job. Big damage, big money, big fun. Repairing and reclaim. Oh, no, it's repairing the commander. I thought the commander was reclaiming the Fat Boy, and the turret was repairing it. Funky stuff in a game of Beyond Erasing. You never know who's going to misclick what. That's a misinput. You calm down. I think about that a lot sometimes. getting shot by my teammates, wondering why. Anti-nuke's coming up right here for the blue commander. Love to see it. That's a pretty aggressive timing on the anti-nuke, actually. Usually we see the anti-nuke started up around the 11-minute mark. A little bit early on this one, but it's only a single constructor, so it's not like it's going to come up anytime soon either. It actually wouldn't even be up. If we don't assist this, it's not even going to be up until almost the 15-minute mark there. 15-minute mark. Oh. I thought certainly the purple commander would be able to hold their own over here, but in fact actually took tons of hits from the LLTs and actually went down right there for the eating. Yeah, okay. Level Head is going to get a wonderful little metal boost out of all this. Level Head being the air player, so no production, by the way, for Level Head here. We have the T2 Con. No T2 Mexes. We're thinking about T2 Lab, maybe. Rough eco scaling here. Need to start improving that. Airplay super important on Supreme Isthmus, obviously. Taking control of this midsection with air support. Very viable. There goes that fat boy, though. Speaking of which, I've actually got a wonderful announcement. This Saturday, we're going to be doing a special little stream. We're going to be taking a much more in-depth look at the tech split, which is a proposed balance rework. So it's been called a bunch of things. I've been told that it's called a unit rework. Others have called it a balance rework. I think balance rework is probably what most folks are used to hearing this sort of thing be called. But really what it does is it reworks the way that tech splits happen in this game, right? I mean, as the name implies. It reworks the way that the T1, T2, T3, and, well, for the tech split, T4 transitions work. Moving more towards the total annihilation roots right here of Beyond All Reason. As we watch the tank commander go ahead and sneak right up on the coastline. Actually building a bot lab and producing a bunch of units and going ahead right into the backline. You know, I mean, this is one of those scenarios where I wouldn't even mind seeing like a capture or a reclaim. Like, imagine capturing that laboratory, maybe some of these constructors, and then just using it to produce units. Wouldn't that be fun? Idaho Nuke Labs instead gonna go ahead and just decimate it all. 500 metal, or 500 energy rather, a shot. And down goes the laboratory, metal extractors, wind turbines, constructors, T1 and, well, T2 actually escapes with its life. Super annoying here for the purple commander. I mean, that is effectively your primary advantage on this naval lane, is that you have extra metal extractors over here. If you get these upgraded to T2, you do have an eco advantage over this commander. Well, if your entire backline gets eliminated, you don't have much of an advantage left. Trying to take down those E-converters right here. Fat boy, I still hear it, ringing clear. Out into the distance. Kind of targeting interestingly here. Marco Ralsex, Brown Commander. Oh, no. Commander, I believe that was a friendly fire right there from the Fat Boy. Commander goes down as all those Janus and whatnot fire away. Destroyed. And there we go. What an insane hold for the entirety of this match. All of a sudden to go down as just a little bit of pressure is applied. Really goes to show just how fragile these front lines can be to just the right pressure in the right spot here. These Sheldon have been working away at the static defenses. Eventually they got the LLTs down, and that was sort of the event that triggered the aggression, where all of a sudden all the lighter chaff units could move in, forcing a bunch of friendly firing and whatnot. And well, this is where we find ourselves. All of a sudden, literally no way here for the blue team to hold this front line. They have no T2 units on the field save for two sharpshooters, a radar jammer, and a radar bot. It's not what I would call a compelling defense. Lord Grimm also making the best of this situation too, reclaiming a whole bunch of this metal. Some T1 units pushing in, but not really much of a threat. The Sheldon are going to be able to fire away at those pretty effectively and deal with them before the commander takes too much damage. A couple of res bots to eat all this up would have been ideal, but obviously extracting all this metal and eliminating all these defenses is still a huge win right now for the red team. Still a Navy clash over here. The tank commander doing a fabulous job of shutting down the purple commander continuously. This is how you keep yourself in the Navy game and allow a little bit of progression. Meanwhile, though, a little hit squad of submarines has made their way around from the purple commander Narlock and managed to kill the TAN production. Well, suddenly, I mean, this game is flipped on its head because all of a sudden the tank commander actually is playing a battle of attrition right here. Every one of these destroyers and whatnot that goes down is effectively indisposable. And man, they are going down. Those submarines hit pretty hard, and so do those coastal defenses. Oh no. I don't even think that Idaho Nuke Labs has really realized at this point just how dire the situation actually is. I mean, the submarines are going down, but the lab can be rebuilt. All the build power is still here for the purple commander. Not really much damage was done by losing those destroyers and that frigate right there. This was a really bad trade right now, all of a sudden, for our tank commander. Not actually a great way to rebuild either. Yeah, we have to ask for a constructor right now in order to rebuild. We do have one, but no build power obviously means it's going to be super slow too. Awkward to tech back into bots, or into what are they called? Boats. Brightworks knows his units, that's for sure. HLT actually coming up from Lord Grim. You know what? Against the spam that's coming up right here, I really don't mind it. That's actually not bad. Sharpshooters kind of wasting their shots is kind of awkward. A spy bot or two to help with that, or of course eventually getting into pinpointers. Super expensive investment, but maybe the backliner could afford it. At this point, we are ready to check in on them. Advanced fusion reactor, almost up and running here. We're a little bit late at 15 minutes, but that's because we went for a little bit more aggressive wind turbine expansion. Gives you a bit of an energy boost going forward, so it's not the end of the world. It's what Armada players prefer to gamble on because their energy, or their wind energy, is ever so slightly more efficient. But as you can see, the wind speed is pretty low right now, so it really wasn't worth it this game. Not gonna matter much though as the APHIS scaling starts here, and it looks like the blue commander doesn't have no intentions to slow down. We're going for a quadruple APHIS before we go for any units right here. Love it. It's an awkward moment because as a frontliner, you kind of need your backliner to go for tech to keep up with the enemy's tech level. But it's also like, you know, I'd really appreciate some support on the front line. It's a difficult call, and it's not really one that's universally solved yet, right? Like, there's no perfect way of playing it. If you don't go into T3 and your team, or the enemy team gets it out before you, then you just lose. If you do go into T3 and the enemy pushes with T1, then you just lose. The right answer is communicating and teamwork and whatnot. I know, super, super difficult for a Beyond All Reason player to communicate with the team. But trust me, it's very OP. That's why communism was so popular and, well, still is popular. Literally in the process of being nerfed because it's so powerful. Resbots, love to see it. They're moving aggressively pretty far forward here. I feel like we're a little shy to eat this commander course, but we are now 6 or 7 minutes past the commander dying. At this point, it's free game. What are we pinging about? Looks like we're trying to micromanage our teammate into grabbing a metal extractor. Okay. Oh, look at that. The reserve T1 forces here of the tank commander have decided to rebuild the base. They're going to go for some T1, a destroyer, and a T2 lab. That is a very, very optimistic plan right here, considering we've effectively lost the naval battle. Maybe Idaho Nuke Lab's not exactly as aware of how badly this battle has been lost. This is also pretty sketch. A single Dreadnought battleship out on the field with one Barracuda, I suppose, for assault support. This is, frankly speaking, 3 times as much Navy as needed to bring down this battleship. And even halfway decent surround will bring this battleship down before even 3 or 4 of these boats go down. Dreadnoughts are a powerhouse, but at range and with vision and supported by a whole bunch of other units, carriers and... not carriers, pardon me, Corsairs. Paladins, support units, what are they called? Paladin cruisers, gosh. Can you tell it's been a long day? Yeah, it's time to pull the trigger for sure. Submarine does dive in here to provide a bunch of vision. Dreadnought, I mean, alright, it gets a couple of kills. It's forced to retreat though, and that means half of its guns aren't firing as well, which is awkward. Finally, they'll find a targeting solution that works and doesn't shoot plasma through their own hull. So what was that trade? I mean, 4 or 5 boats right here, 6 or so boats go down for one of those 3,000 metal dreadnoughts. Not particularly super, super efficient. Paladins, in the meanwhile, are much more efficient, metal per metal wise. And a much more excellent brawling unit for skirmishing against those frigates and whatnot. APHIS, a little bit delayed here by the yellow commander, Aurelia Shirley. Not quite on top of it with the APHIS scaling. You can tell this is a little bit more practiced here by the blue commander, just a little bit more on top of scaling up and hitting those transition marks and everything. We've got the T1 E-converters to soak up a bunch of the energy conversion right here that's being leaked off. We're eating all the wind turbines to turn them into, well, more and more APHIS here as we now have the 4th one coming up and running. No plans of slowing down yet either, which is just hilarious as the blue commander, yeah, goes for that super duper turbo economy. Love that we're eating up the wind turbines too. I mean, making the best out of that. That's a capital ship coming up and running right there. Also got a fusion reactor plant coming up at the same time for our Lavender hero, our naval hero. Love the idea of backing up this hill though to use a little bit more space in the backline. Frontline has devolved into madness. Love the use of the tremor out here though. That's actually super nice. Just firing away and causing havoc, right? It would be better targeted on these all these units over here. And I mean, actually, we do have a lot of vision of these units. I'm not sure why we're not retargeting. Yeah, there we go. Okay, we are going to fire into this enemy line and try and take out a whole bunch of these units over here. Radar jammers, of course, a viable target. Basically, any of this is pretty soft. That tremor is doing a bunch of damage. Persecutor does eventually take it down. We are pinging my ears off here, Narlock. Is there a reason? I mean, I guess this is one of 3 commanders remaining. We don't want to keep it in the air, per se. Not sure why I'm being pinged about it, though. I can't believe this, but the T2 lab is up and running. Our tank commander has gone into a T2 laboratory, risked it all, I suppose, on the purple commander hiding behind, well, the damage I guess they took earlier, and, well, you know what? It has paid off. Yeah, we're starting eco-scaling. We've got the A Geo. We've got the laboratory. We had the high seas conquered. And I guess, well, I mean, you know, those torpedo bombers are pretty scary, but a couple of AA boats and you're going to be fine. Yeah, there's signs of a scuffle, but really I think this is basically just the mess of the T1 massacre. Torpedo bombers, very, very nice over here. Oh, there we are. Yeah. I mean, all right. One of those excellent cases of over-expanding, over-teching right here. Super easy to do as a naval player. You know, you risk it all in a T2 lab. That's 3,000 metal down the drain. You put it into a 14,000 metal unit, and suddenly things start to look a little bit rough. Our strategic construction tab getting quite large here as well. Keeping my eyes peeled for anything especially epic, like the bulwark coming up on the front line here. More advanced E-converters and whatnot coming up for our blue commander as well, of course, as we've got the biggest economy in the game scaling its way upwards. Really goes to show what that exponential scaling can do, as we're just rounding the corner on our first APHIS here for the yellow commander, and we are nearly on to 6 for our blue comm here. Alright, we're settled in now. The Sheldon have found their pace marching forward right here, but there's enough spam to just constantly keep vision going both ways. Sheldon a little bit tired of being harassed by this gauntlet, I suppose, so they're sent in to try and deal with that. Sharpshooters continually firing away as well. Every time they do hit a target, oh, that was a juicy missile connection. Every time they do hit a target, something pops, which is nice, very efficient. Still, though, a lot of their time right here is being spent wasted shooting at grunts and pawns and rovers and rascals and all sorts of other chaff. I do like the inclusion of those missile trucks, though. They actually lend a nice little bit of heft to the punch here for the blue team. Sharpshooters are nice, of course, but the missile trucks can reach out quite a bit further. Means that any unit that does dare to stand still will suffer the consequences. The high-energy anti-tank consequences. Actually, it's high-energy anti-turtle. That's what those should stand for. So far, though, eco advantage nicely in the hands here of the blue team, who've just been continually scaling it just a little bit faster. I mean, it really does come down to that. At the end of the day, Supreme Miscellaneous is a game that hinges around 2 different people. This person here, getting their T2 out in time in order to deal with stuff. Wow. This is a team of ping spammers. We've got all the ping spammers on the blue team here today. I don't think the red has really blown our ears off so far. I think it's just been the blue. Maybe it's like one bad apple ruins the bunch, you know? Like, I think it was Narlock that ping spammed us first, and then after that, everyone was like, oh, okay, that's acceptable. Now, let's not. Sprinters are dookie, aren't they? Sprinters make my hopes and dreams fall out. I mean, this is not the best micro here either by the Maroon Commander. We should probably be moving this to target the build power that's been repairing this the whole time. There we go. Hey, look at that. Build power will be targeted, but by this point, I mean, I guess the Sprinters will do. I'm not going to lend the Sprinters any credence, but they'll do. Once. Might be the first win I've ever seen for Sprinters, actually. Missile boats ready to start harassment. I mean, these are going to be able to reach out and hit pretty hard, too. Was this base properly scouted? No, not really. Sprinters to the defense. I wish Sprinters were good, but if they were, then Armada would be OP. There'd be no reason to play Cortex if Sprinters were good. The best Sheldon in the world couldn't hope to compare with a good Sprinter. They have to stay bad. Cortex invests billions of metal per year just to sabotage Armada Sprinter research. Mammoth's slow pushing forward here. Sheldon numbers continuously replenishing. Eventually, though, the Mammoths will break the line. Sheldon will start to connect with the base, and we have our first crushing. Cyan Hero, Cameron 07, who had a stellar early game, will now fall. Sheldon and Mammoth blasting away, hand in hand, providing a bunch of durability, and, of course, a bunch of long-range firepower. And there we go. Steamrolled across quite nicely. Red team without an appropriate reaction here. We needed units on the field. And I feel like that's something the blue team has definitely been sorely lacking this entire game. My goodness, look at what we got here. Not only are we going for hovercraft spam, which is infamously expensive, we are also going for a capital ship in the backline as well. Well, you know what? I like this position for going for a capital ship quite a bit better.
Commander destroyed.
Green commander going down right there. That actually puts the green team at, or the blue, the blue team at 2 commanders only. It's actually a little bit risky. Yeah, we're going for these big heavy units, but we need something to shut off the spam, which has kind of just been killing the blue heroes slowly here. Absolutely one of those situations where I've effectively spoiled this match for myself by looking at the timer. And for you fine folks, because this looks like a game-winning situation right here. 2 bases steamrolled. Hovercraft now piercing into the backline. We have, what is that name? Passy 2000. 2002. D-gunning hovercrafts. What a world we live in. 4 or 5 LLTs and this ought to be shut down right now, but obviously can't D-gun and build at the same time. You gotta micro that. Oh. Marauders sneaking their way in here as well. They do manage to find that AGO. Will we target the build power? Oh, we're gonna disassemble it. Oh, look at that. Okay, Seafoam Green Commander with a clever reaction right there. Disassembles the AGO while the Marauder were pulled away for no particular reason. Manages to save the base by eating it. Blue Commander starts their spam. It's time for them to get in the game. This is all the time it looks like that the red team has been, or that the blue frontliner speed bumps have been able to do. Now it is time for the backliners to fight. There's the moment in the game where you have to just kind of be like, all right, my hands are off the wheel. I'm going to go sit in the backline and eco for 30 minutes while the backliners that will duke it out with whatever the backliners of the enemy team are. Certainly the situation where you look into your backline and you see this and you're like, yep, we're good. We're good. Faith. This is called faith. Trust. Pixie dust. All that stuff. A couple of rattlesnakes up on the hill. I actually quite like that. Sort of cheeky little placement on those rattlesnakes. D-gunnable for sure. But I love the placement on those. Able to fire out into the distance, do a bunch of damage. Shell shock a bunch of those medium tanks, stun them in the tracks. We've got T1 still brawling over here, by the way. We do have a T2 lab, yes. Yes. My preferred method of eco-scaling at this point is to produce 5 or 6 T1 constructors, send 4 of them to go build tidal generators, and send 2 of them to go build E-converters. Very space inefficient, but works a treat for scaling up that eco very slow and steadily. One Sheldon over here, chipping away at this wreck fusion reactor to get to the real one. Marauders now coming out from the blue commander. Are we going to tech up as well? I mean, we've hit T3. We've basically peaked as far as the tech level goes, but are we going to go any further into like Razorbacks or anything? It doesn't really seem like it now. Well, Marauder might be just what we need, actually. I mean, they are a pretty decent anti-spam. They're fast enough to catch up with the Sheldon and ruin their hopes and dreams. They're tanky enough to, at the very least, brawl with these mammoths a little bit. With a decent surround, they can be pretty efficient in killing them. More efficient than Razorbacks, even, I would say. And they fire fast enough, too, that I think it's going to be quite alright against the spam units coming in as well. Kind of an excellent general catch-all unit. Is Armada OP? Opening a can of worms with this discussion. A discussion that will persist until the end of time, I'm pretty sure. Until Bar is nothing but a forgotten memory, we will debate whether Armada or Cortex are OP. Now this T1 unit waste is a little bit abysmal. You can see that these have effectively achieved nothing. those units would have been much better sacrificed going back to the laboratory, going back to the build power, and just getting eaten up and turned into a T2 laboratory. That's the kind of thing where it's easy to make that improvement, make that very minor change, and you'll be perfectly fine. I mean, you know what? If we're going to keep dumping a bunch of metal on the Purple Commander's doorstep, I don't mind if they stay in the game. A little bit of scaling going on back here, too. Some fusion reactors and whatnot. Nuclear missile launcher also coming up here for our green commander, who's just starting up their APHIS farm. We've got 2 already and some fusions. Eating those fusions and turning them into an APHIS wouldn't be a bad idea either. You've got the build power now, so it's not a bad plan. Looks like the hovercraft harassment, it was enough of an annoyance that the green commander decided to deal with it, as we do have the heavy bombers coming around for a second pass and taking out the other laboratory. Okay, nicely done. An excellent answer there for the red team as the fighters sweep in to clear all that out, but those bombers achieved their purpose, and now the Marine commander is forced to deal with the idea of either rebuilding that or just pivoting into the next plan here, which is of course going to be the Black Hydra capital ship. Firing away into the distance. Oh, I love that little, it's got a little recharge timer now. Its firing speed is extremely low now. Kind of nice, right? I mean, it means that the barrage that you get from this thing is a little less... It's a little less instantaneous. It means it's a little softer on shields. I don't know the exact number, but I imagine it takes a little bit less shielding in order to resist one of these things. Probably still more than 1 shield, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a lot easier to defend with just 2. Now, despite an inferior economy, at least numerically here by the yellow commander, we do have units coming out. And units can do a lot of good stuff. I mean, they're very powerful. Not something I feel I necessarily should have to explain, but for those of you out there that might be wondering, units in Beyond a Reason are very, very OP. Nukes are pretty good, too. I mean, hard to say nukes aren't one of the best units in the game, too. When you find value with a nuke, it feels tremendous. There is value to be found. Like, big parts of the yellow base here are exposed to nuclear attack. We have anti-nukes kind of roaming around right now. Yeah, Orange Commander sending those anti-nuke, those mobile anti-nukes around is kind of cool. Keeping the team safe, one savior at a time. Red team is totally dug in their heels, though. And this is awkward, right? Because it's very difficult to break this position with your own siege. There's a couple of really niche tools that are very easy to shut down that can do it if they go unscouted. Things like the Paralyzer, 4 or 5 Paralyzer missiles put in the right spot, you know, kind of tucked behind over here, maybe. It can paralyze 80, maybe 90% of the front line and shut it all off. Tactical missiles, of course, can shut it off permanently. EMP bombers can be another effective option. You essentially need something to momentarily shut off all of these units for just enough time to make your units trade just fantastically for a couple of minutes. The AG over here was eaten right here, so there will be no satisfying explosion for that for that capital ship. Well, no radar jammer over here means that these yeah, sharpshooters are taking a pretty heavy hit. They do manage to blast away those boats pretty nicely, though. Sharpshooter's one of those few things that can do enough damage to be worth it. Fighting naval units. Looks like we've got a giant static defense ray being built up here. Array, rather. Yeah, it's just mass pit bulls. You know, we're now pulling in over 1,000 metal per second, depending on the reclaim, of course, but over 1,000 metal per second. Our blue commander has the metal to burn, just building a ton of static defenses like this. Titan has finally arrived. This is where you gotta wonder, I mean, is there a plan? Is there a way that we can use these units to their best ability? Do we have some sort of ground scouting? Oh no, we see the radar dot. I see. Okay, nice. Radar does manage to detect that, at the very least, meaning that the scuttles won't find some value. Love the play right there from the red commander, though. Keeping it very creative. For instance, we could also harass this lane. This side's been completely open and available for the entirety of the match, sneaking a scuttle or two in here. Obviously easier to say when you know, we can see the entire field with our spectator vision. But it's the kind of thing you figure out eventually. Man, we are still on T1, huh? I mean, at this point, we're just on T1 as like a deterrent, not even as a real threat. Don't tell me the lab survives. Oh, by the very last torpedo, the laboratory does go down. Bunch of T2 fighters now swarming in. Oh, that's actually a great trade right here for the blue commander. Finding all these units all super grouped up like this does mean those fighters get a wonderful trade. And yeah, you can really see how much more effective those T2 fighters are than over the T1. Anti-air in position here, though, does start to work on those T1 or T2 fighters. Makes this a little awkward. And you know what? The purple commander lives. They live to see another day. Capital ship, by the way, still firing at this AGO. Oh, man. This is why scouting is so important. We think there's an AGO here, so we spent the last 10 minutes, I don't know, 5 minutes firing at this thing. That just doesn't exist. So much damage could have been done. Razorbacks do eventually make it to the front lines. I appreciate here that the blue commander has realized that they are effectively playing this game on their own, so has gone into the spam for the front line. They've gone into the fighter jets to keep the air safe. However, one super valid strategy is just to select big portions of your economy and peel it off and hand it to the frontliners. Just give them new jobs. If you give your frontliners job security, they're more than happy to work for you most of the time. What kind of wind conditions are we thinking about at the moment? We've got, oh, apparently this is called the Banth. The Titan, renamed the Banth, apparently. I don't know. Razorbacks. Yeah, struggling a lot against the Mammoths. Mammoth spam is actually one of the weirdest, most effective pushes in the game. They don't seem like they should really have much effectiveness, right? Because they're just big and slow and heavy. But sometimes that really is all you need. It works phenomenally, and their gun is not to be underestimated. Not the most powerful thing in the game, of course, but over time, and they can stall with their immense bulk for that. Start to chip down even these T3 units. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The Mammoth is the Cortex sharpshooter. It's one of those things where, like, you hear that for the first time and it sounds absurd, but the more you play Beyond a Reason, the more I think you realize it's true. Mammoths and sharpshooters hold exactly the same role. They're the, oh crap, my teammate has, or my opponent rather, has T3. I need something to shut it off. Switch. Now we've lost, at this point, 2 Titans, which is a little bit of a heartbreaker, for sure. Losing those Titans and inevitably having them resurrected and sent back out to the front line in your face is always a little bit awkward. Man, these LRPCs are actually putting in some real work against this Navy. That was an unexpected turn. I mean, yeah, sure, we've gone for, how many at this point? 7 LRPCs, and we're continually building more, too. Why is this the weirdest, most effective counter to this T2 Navy? It shouldn't have come up as the solution here. We shouldn't have ever been allowed to build an economy like this, but we have arrived. Bad Boys as a solution against Titans is very creative, too. A lot of HP, they can certainly take the abuse the Titans can deal out. We have the Pit Bulls firing away as well. Just a ton of firing units, actually. I love that. The flanking damage here is going to be wonderful. Well, actually, it's mostly from all one direction. Still not the end of the world. About 1% of Titan health for every one of these units right here. However, there's about 25 units right here. Means that it actually doesn't take all too long for these units to whittle down those Titans. And they did a fantastic job. Titan's not really an AoE unit. You really need something like the... gosh, what are they called? Vanguard in order to really deal with them. Oh no, there's no way. Wow. That's persistence right there. That is a $21,000 persistence engine right there. ADIS is a machine that converts metal into spent energy, firing a Gauss cannon that will never do anything. At what point do you just plop down your seaplane lab and just send your own scouts forward to figure out why this base hasn't exploded yet? I have to imagine in the mind here of the, it looks like the AGO was taken out. I have to imagine in the mind of Adius, that AGO is so close. It's so low, but it's still being repaired by a couple of, just a couple of build towers. Did they change as soon as as soon as I brought it up? That's the caster curse right there. Finally retargets and finds something else to fire at. Razorback, sure. T1, of course. Frontline locked in an eternal stalemate, though. We're going to go ahead and speed things up. Both teams a little uncomfortable looking for a solution right now. The Big Bertha wall right here, the basilicas. I mean, that is a hot heap of plasma sent forward. Decoy commander on the front line, too, is hilarious. Pop goes the commander. A brilliant burst of confetti. Love to see that. Another big air battle on the right-hand side as well. Those T2 fighters clashing with the T1, but it was really only like an eighth of the Navy for the blue commander. We do have some boats going down over, or some planes shooting boats down. No. Some boats shooting planes down. My goodness. Nuclear missile launch. Oh, no anti-nuke. Boom goes the midsection there as the nuclear missiles do collide. Anti-nuke just a touch too slow on the launch for the orange savior, the mobile anti-nuke, whose stockpile was just not quite built up enough in order to shut all the nukes down from our green hero, who's gone for 4 of them at this point, by the way. That apparently was the kick to the hornet's nest that the yellow and red commanders needed as they marshal their units forward. Once more, we push into the dark. Once more, we will be shot in the face by a whole bunch of titans and basilicas and all sorts of other nonsense. 8 EMP bombers would be the death of this push, though. If you accidentally group all your titans like this, 1 EMP bombing can effectively shut them all off. As an Armada commander myself, and watching another Armada commander, it pains me to watch these move so closely together. Not to mention, of course, yeah, there we go! EMP bombers to the rescue! Oh, I called it! EMP bombers managed to shut it all down. 4 of those titans fall. The LRPC's putting in a lot of work, I will say. Ah, I love that so much. EMP bombers are the heroes. Absolutely obliterating the functionality here of this entire multi-thousand metal push. Eventually, fighters clean all this up, but not before the blue commander takes a fantastic trade against a ridiculous amount of metal for basically 0 damage. Don't you love an air player that knows how to use their units? Especially an Armada one, too. I mean, my goodness, those EMP bombers are brutal. Stilettos pack a weird but effective kind of punch. Now is the era of the blue. As our hero, G-Flow, does start to send some units forward. Titans have begun production here. We are actually producing out of multiple T3 labs. So we've got 1 T3 lab here, a gigantic stack of APHIS in the back powering it all, and of course, another T3 lab on the front line. Both of which just spamming Titans. Blue team with the production advantage across the board. It is only a matter of putting that metal on the field in an effective form in order to destroy the enemy. Titans are a very easy way of doing that. It doesn't take a lot of work to make a Titan very effective. Put it near enemies and things will go away. Problems start to dissolve. Again, love the static defenses being queued up right here. Look at the blue commander, just spending that metal on whatever. Pulsars, flag cannons, just anything to hold all this. Trying to make sure that no lane is taken advantage of. And you know what? Our red team has been extremely narrow-sighted here. I feel like they've kind of lost track of all the different lanes that they had won. This beachhead has been won for the entire game. The last 25 minutes at the very least. I haven't seen a single run by. In fact, it'll actually be our Lavender commander who does the running by across the enemy navy and manages to get a bunch of Marauder into the backline. This is ridiculous. Aegis will move into position. No radar here to detect this commander, so it is a sneaky beaky like. It's just beautiful, isn't it? When a team makes units and then uses them. Oh, nothing better. Commander reveals itself way too early there.
Commander,
it's not really a great way of dealing with this regardless. There's just, there isn't one. Down goes the anti-nuke. Titan moves into position to intercept the rest of these Marauder, but that's kind of the nice thing about Marauder. They don't really care if you stand in their way. They'll just keep moving. Or at the very least, blowing up your APHIS. And there we go. What a wonderful strike right there. Suddenly cuts a bunch of the production power here from the Maroon commander who was just getting ready to start spamming out a whole bunch of hovercraft. Instead, has been reduced to atoms and doesn't have really any naval investments as far as the economy goes. Look at that. Yeah, we were just starting up some E-converters. No, I mean, we had the mexes, but no fusion reactors, anything like that under the water. We sort of gambled it all in that land-based economy, and they didn't protect it hardly at all. There wasn't really anything to shut these units down from moving across the field and blowing it all up. I want to say that at one point that was the case over here, but now, I mean, this is a fantastic defense. The Pitbulls, of course, very compelling argument not to push into somewhere, and the Starlights even more so. And it doesn't matter how much you do on the front line. At this point, the blue economy is up and running. The engine is turning. We've got double Titan production. I mean, what a monstrous economy back here. Is this Titans per second? We've seen Juggernauts per second. Now we might have Titans per second. It's beautiful, isn't it? Looks like this front line is gearing up for war as well. That's a great shot. Pardon my cinematography. I know some of you folks hate when I rotate the camera, but man, how could I resist these beautiful, beautiful shots? It's gotta be 50 Titans. Lined up and firing. Oh, they begin. The march has begun. Never mind. No marching here. Oh, there's a nuke. Titans will shrug that one off pretty easy. They don't really care much about nukes, but yeah, I mean, at the very least, reinforcements are also on the way. Behemoths. Titans and Behemoths. Name a better combo. A wombo combo. I mean, it just isn't enough. It's that ridiculous exponential scaling, but eventually you hit a point where there's just nothing you can do about it. It just is too big. And there we are. How many APHISs are we at, by the way? I'm just going to count the blue APHIS. We are launching more nuclear missiles, by the way. Looks like 3 more will be launching out of their tubes. Not at the same time, which is a little bit of a bummer. 1 and 2 and... wait for it. 3, there it is. Will any of these find a target? Nope, doesn't look like it. They were aiming for the Navy out there in the water. Not gonna be able to actually do much. The Bertha spam, oh my goodness. Basilica spam, I mean, I'm actually gonna turn this off for a minute. It's getting a little encumbering watching that grow continuously here. Look at how much stuff on the field. Have you guys ever seen Attack on Titan? Have you ever heard of the rumbling? For greater or for worse, I'm pretty convinced that that's exactly what we're seeing here. We have enough Titans at this point that they are their own anti-air. And again with the nukes. Titans are like, eh. Minor hull damage. It is acceptable. Love the pink commander building a Navy deposit. And despite the blue commander having all the economy in the world, I feel like it's actually our lavender commander that really is the hero here. At one point was the naval commander. At this point is now producing Marauder nonstop. I mean, I don't hate it. Marauder are super good, and especially if you use them. I mean, look at that. Sending your units in? This is unheard of. Oh, the value on this behemoth fires every single time. Now it's going to fire at the other behemoths. That's the highest health target, but imagine cutting through 5 Titans with a pseudo D-gun. I mean, the only thing that beats it is a real D-gun. Those are in very limited supply, though. The Trail of Titan. Marauder, rather. Nice little chain reaction right there. Shows us exactly what those Marauder are good at. Nuclear bombers coming in for the kill here as well. Anti-air is firing away at them slowly but surely, though. And you can't keep those nuclear bombers over the Marauder for all too long. They have so much anti-air. They don't have much anti-air, but they have so much anti-air. Shooting down the torpedo bombers too is quite nice, of course. Kind of just helps out the Navy a little bit. Yeah, there we go. I mean, look at that, though. Bomber shot down in minutes here. Seconds, really. Tank commander's main APHIS in trouble. Razorback's moving in to try and help with all this. Titan's moving in to try and help as well, but the APHIS will go. Boom! There we go. The base is now in shambles of the tank commander. Was hoping for, well, to use that for a little bit more. Oh, it's time. Is it finally time? Catapults firing directly into the back of their friendly units here. I feel like those LRPCs are doing about the same thing. Nukes have whittled these all down so low. These are actually getting super low. Man, it just doesn't matter. I've never seen this much metal thrown away before. That's not true. I've actually played Raptors before. That was a hero commander before it fell. Still, the combined HP total of all these Titans, though, is gigantic. Basically insurmountable. There's nothing except that many Titans that's ever going to stop all this. The carnage. You could play a game of Beyond All Reason without metal extractors just by reclaiming this field alone. Looks like that was the nuke that did it, too. Finally broke the Titans back. Is that a good name for a children's book? The nuke that broke the Titans back? Sounds like a Doom sequel. Has anybody noticed that the Marauder armies have continually gotten bigger and bigger and bigger here? Meanwhile, the reinforcements on this left-hand side have gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. We're down to just 3 Hornets and a hopeful commander. I mean, at this point, you better just start pushing with air. Sending gunships around, sending your fighters around. There's no way they can outproduce you in the air at this point. 4 or 5 T2 labs, all spamming out fighters, and then, of course, you send just a ton of roughnecks or gunships or whatever you can make. Eventually, you're going to have a good trade. These T1... Look at all of these T1 submarines brawling it out here with the T2, scaring back the T2 Navy. The humble Orca. Gone in moments. At the very least, providing a whole bunch of vision here, though. Allowing those Basilica to fire away. I will say, I'm really impressed with how well the Basilica have held up this game. The blue team is actually having trouble spending their money, it looks like. The spam of hovercrafts, apparently, to counter the spam of hovercrafts.
Commander destroyed.
Ah. Marauder have found their target. Now if we take all these Marauder and we just steamroll them past into the enemy base as we've plotted here, this could work. We need to spread them out. Yep, more of that happens. Okay, well, maybe single-handedly the best nuke I've seen this entire match. Wow, what a nuke. That was like 50 Marauder dead in an instant as the nuke connected. Several, probably 100,000 or so metal down the drain in an instant from a single nuclear strike. Have we learned our lesson about spacing the units out? I don't really think it would have helped all too much against the nuke, but man, that was brutal. What an excellent play right there from the red team. An excellent save, really, because that was, I mean, that would have been a death sentence if those Marauder had made it through. Now, despite Behemoth being on the field here, the nice thing about Behemoth is they can only really target one thing. And, of course, they can only also move at the speed of a snail. If, you know, like a snail in a wheelchair, maybe. A very, very, very slow snail. A snail that has just gotten up from a nap. Not really fully awake yet. Boom, there's the APHIS, too, yeah. I love when the lasers fire up into the air, too, to try and take these out. While we're even firing our, repulsors. Titans with nothing better to do, just shooting down nuclear bombers. I kind of love it. I don't know what to say about this Behemoth just parked over here. If you're not marching your Behemoth towards the enemy base, you're kind of using them incorrectly. The front line is in shambles, though. The fighters and the, oh, those aren't scout planes at all. Those are bombers. Those are heavy bombers. There was enough of them that I thought they were fighter planes. Scout planes, rather. We're picking anybody. Anybody's a viable target at this point. Is that an AGO? Oh no! Every base falls down. The AGO, oh, it got reclaimed at the very last second right here. Orange base goes up in smoke though. Bombers do actually manage to make it all the way to the back line here. What a push. Green fighter's a little bit late to the party, but all the base has gone down. Oh, there we go. Red base falls here as well. The very last of the bombers managed to pop the APHIS. And yeah, just like that. It's all it takes to completely shut off the entire energy production here for the red team. A cool 800% advantage in the metal income department. Largely, yeah, I mean, because we've got more APHIS than there are stars in the night sky. And we're just walking T3 units forward. Literally impossible here for the blue commander to spend all that metal. We would need, I mean, I guess a fourth T3 factory? Or no, a third, well, I mean, yeah, a third and a fourth maybe. Might be enough. Not if you start reclaiming and everything, though, then too, yeah, you're I mean, it's difficult. It gets real difficult. You might as well start spamming out, like, dragons. A couple of dragons per second, not bad. Behemoth versus Behemoth. Mwah. They kiss. You don't want to be kissed by a Behemoth. It's not comfortable. No matter how much they mean it. Their love is not fun. Nice Marauder, or not Marauder. Nice hovercraft push. They feel like Marauders. I'm so used to seeing Marauders push on this lane. More APHIS popping. Some nukes. Detonated far overhead here. Oh, well, okay, there we go. Yeah. I think it was the hovercraft that really broke the spirit over here. Maybe this T1 spam running their way through as well. And the red team does relent.
Commander self-destructed.
Wow. What a match beyond all reason.
Battle ended.
I just absolutely know that G-Flow is grinning ear to ear after this game. Maybe sweating as well, but grinning for sure after absolutely overproducing the entirety of the other team. What a beautiful example of sticking into that game to the very, very bitter end. Thanks a ton for watching. If you made it to the very, very bitter end, wow, look at that graph right there. Kind of tells the entire story, doesn't it? And I sure hope to see you again in the very next match of Beyond Our Reason. Be sure to check out the Bar Pro League as well. It's a wonderful event, and I'm very excited for it. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Peace out, everybody.